Good evening, Clovis. Welcome to our second Facebook Live session. We are here at the Clovis Police Department in Chief Matt Basgall's office, where he will be answering your questions tonight. My name is Ty Wood. I'm a police services officer, and I manage our social media accounts such as Facebook, which is how you are viewing right now. We will get to as many questions as you can. We're going to start off with a couple of questions from department employees just to see what's going on. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Basgall, and we'll go from there. Thanks for joining us.
Hi there. I'm Chief Basgall with the Clovis Police Department, as Ty said. And so this is a great opportunity for us to answer your questions as citizens of Clovis. Social media out there, we know there's always a lot of questions that want to be answered or be asked, and so we thought this is a great time to answer those questions. So if you have those questions for me and how the police department works or anything that has to do with the police department in general, let us know, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Okay, one of the first questions is Clovis was recently named the safest city in the Valley. What does that mean, and how does a city obtain that title?
Well, for the city of Clovis, it's a great honor to reach that goal, and something that we strive for every year as one of our goals is to be the safest city in the Valley. Last year we were the safest city in the Valley. We just found that out, and basically that is derived through California Crime Index numbers, and that is compared with other cities within the Valley, and we use those numbers to come up with where we need to work on areas and whether or not that allows us to be the safest city. This particular case, our numbers were lower this year under the California Crime Index, and so we were able to be safest city.
Sounds good. The next question is, what are some of the current challenges facing the Clovis Police Department at this time?
Well, I think some of the biggest challenges is that everybody's facing right now in law enforcement, and it really does have to do with things such as Proposition 47 and how it impacts our communities. With Prop 47, there are more people that are out on the streets that have committed crimes and are only being, charged with misdemeanors. And so it's creating challenges for us as a department to find creative ways to solve problems. How are we going to get people who are who are having difficulties with addiction in the rehabilitation centers? So it's definitely been a challenge for us here in the last year. Other things that we'll face challenges with is just actually growth. As the city grows, we need to hire more officers and keep up with the growth of the city and our surrounding community.
Great. And next question is, how do you see the Clovis Police Department changing in the next 5 years?
Well, I think the biggest change you're going to see is youthful appearance of the officers. We're hiring a lot of young officers out there, and a lot of times that's what I hear is that there's a lot of younger officers on the street. And over the next 5 years, you're going to see even more of that, especially as the city grows. The more growth that occurs with homes being developed and schools and businesses as they come to town, we're going to be getting bigger.
Great. One of our citizens, Scott Campbell, wants to know, are there any plans to bring back the K-9 unit to the Clovis Police Department instead of using other agencies?
Yes, we're currently in process of working on that now. The first thing you're going to see is a narcotics dog. Our narcotics K-9 will be being purchased here in the next month and hopefully deployed here in the next few months. So we actually have a citizen who's come forward and wants to work with us on raising funds to get our K-9 unit back up and going, and so it is definitely a goal over the next years to expand that program and get things back to where they were.
Great. Mary Sella's 3-year-old wants to know how she can meet an officer at some point.
Well, she can do that a couple ways. She can actually call the police department and an officer can come by the house and say hi, or they can come down to the station and we'll gladly give her a sticker and let her meet an officer at that time.
Great. Another question is, if someone wants to be involved with our police department, what opportunities are there?
We have several opportunities. If you're looking from a volunteer standpoint, we have our Citizens on Patrol volunteers. they do amazing work for us. I mean, our citizen volunteers, they're involved in all kinds of things. They do traffic control. They go out and actually patrol parking lots. Some of them write parking tickets. Others, help out around the station. But our citizens on patrol, they do phenomenal work. And then there's other things too. We have the Miss Winkle's Pet Adoption Center, where we're always looking for volunteers to help take care of the animals. So the more volunteers we could get out there, the better.
Great. Another question is there any plans to increase the Clovis Police Department's motor unit?
Did that come from a motor officer?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to be increasing the amount of motor officers that'll be on the streets anytime real soon, but the traffic division is something we want to expand, and that's part of that 5-year plan that you had asked about earlier, is actually expanding the number of traffic officers that are involved. They may not be on motorcycles, but they may be part of the traffic division.
Great. One question, Chris wants to know, do you guys hire an officer at the age of 40?
Yes, yes. We do, and we have.
We're just waiting for more questions right now. Can you tell us a little bit about how Prop 47 has impacted our department?
Yeah, I talked about Prop 47 a little bit ago, but Prop 47 impacted the law enforcement community across the state, not just in the city of Clovis. The county of Fresno, the city of Fresno, all the outlying cities all ran into the same problem. And what Prop 47 did was made drug offenses misdemeanors instead of felonies. That was the big part of that. It changed the threshold on theft from being at $400 to $950 for it to be a felony. So what we found is we saw a large spike increase in the number of thefts that were occurring, as well as some of the drug activity that we were seeing on the streets. We were only able to give people tickets instead of taking them to jail for being in possession of narcotics.
Another citizen question from Michelle Thompson-Scott wants to know, what's the purpose of community service officers and what do they do?
Our CSOs do so much work. They are absolutely an integral part of the police department. What the CSOs will do is they handle what we call our priority 3 traffic, which a lot of that would be cold case type of activity. They also do municipal code enforcement. They will go out and they also can write traffic accident reports if it's a non-injury type situation. Some of them even will investigate some fraud cases. So anything that there's not a known suspect at the time, the CSOs help us out with. So right now we have 14 CSOs that work the streets, and they're just very much a vital part of the police department and how we get things done.
Great. David Garrison wants to know how Clovis PD prepares to deal with a first responder or terrorist problem in our area.
Yeah, that's an ongoing training thing that we deal with. Unfortunately, today's world is just, it's on the forefront of all of us, and, we train on a regular basis for situations. We talk about these situations. When you see something happen in San Bernardino or you see something happen in Brussels, our officers talk about that in briefing, and, it's something, nobody wants to see happen in their community, but I can assure you that we train very hard for the what-if situation.
Mary Martin would like to know if a vacation is in the forecast, do we do vacation house checks?
Yes. You can call into the police department, and we will do vacation house checks. That's something that our volunteers do on a regular basis for us, and they are very proficient at getting that done.
Beth Wilson would like to know how well we work with the Clovis Unified School District and their police department for foot traffic during the weekends and other events.
Yeah, the school district has, I believe, 14 officers now, and we try to coordinate with them as much as we can. One of the things we have seen an uptick in over this last year is actually some burglaries that have occurred on school campuses, especially on weekends when there's large events occurring. Whether it's at the soccer fields or baseball diamonds, we try to do as much extra patrol as we can, knowing when those events occur. We work with the school district and try to communicate as best as we can. but that is something that we do get concerned about on the weekends, is having burglaries occur especially for people, that come out of town and the last thing they want to do is be a victim of a crime.
Two different questions about hiring. Darlene and Ashley wants to know, how do we become employees? What's the application process and how do they apply?
Well, there's several different positions in the city. To come to work for the police department, if you want to be a volunteer, you can go on the Clovis Police Department or the City of Clovis webpage, and they have an application there. Or if you're looking for employment itself, that whether it's a police officer's position or CSO or PSO, and a PSO is our dispatchers who are awesome. You can go on the website and you'll see what jobs are available, and you can apply online based on what jobs are posted on the city website.
Lynn Hodge wants to know, will the City of Clovis ever offer CCW permits?
Not at this time. Currently, all the CCWs that go through the City of Clovis are done by the Sheriff's Department, and that just has to go back to a long history of CCWs themselves. I'm not opposed to doing that, but from a procedural standpoint, it's just better if it goes through the Sheriff's Department. It used to be that as a police chief, we used to do it, and then the legislation changed and said, no, you can't do it, and then it changed again and says, yes, you can do it. So for consistency's sake, we just choose to go with the Sheriff's Department on that.
Ramon Lopez would like to know if reserve officers are allowed to ride police motorcycles.
Yes, reserve officers can ride police motorcycles, depending on what level of a reserve they are. If you're a level 1 reserve, I'm assuming he's a reserve and knows this answer, but if you're a level 1 reserve that's certified, then yeah, you can ride a motorcycle.
Gordon wants to know, is it necessary to have a permit to have door-to-door solicitations for your business? And I know we've gotten a lot of comments on social media in regards to people going door-to-door, what they can do if they're a little suspicious about their activity.
Yeah, in order to be a door-to-door sales, you're already supposed to get a permit through the city, which means they have to go and register and say what product they're selling and why they're selling it. What was the other part of that, Ty?
I know on social media we've gotten a lot of comments about what people can do if they see someone acting suspicious or if they think someone is lying about being a solicitor.
Yeah, we encourage anybody who's unsure of that to call the police department. If you think there's somebody suspicious in your neighborhood, call us and we'll send somebody out to check on them. You can always call the 324-2800 number, or if you're not sure, you can hit 911 and we'll dispatch will have an officer come by and check the person.
Eric Adams wants to know, are there any numbers that we can use for emergency text, or do we have any plans for texting to our dispatch center?
Right now, no. We haven't set up the texting aspect to the dispatch center. It has been discussed. I don't think we're there for our capabilities wise to do that yet.
Brittany would like to know what we are doing in regards to vehicles running the red flashing lights on school buses. Apparently it's been an issue on Jefferson near her home.
Yeah, she can, if you can call the police department and tell us what type of traffic problem you're encountering, and what we'll do is it'll go to our motor officers, our traffic division, and they will put that as part of one of their details, is to go out and actually try and catch violators that are doing it at that time. So if you're specific time in the day where you're noticing that on Jefferson, then let us know, and our traffic division can come out and see if they can put a stop to it.
Sounds good. Chris has another question. He'd like to know how to become a reserve police officer.
To become a reserve police officer, you can contact Corporal Shannon Griffith at the police department. You can call the 324-2400 number, and they will transfer you to Shannon, and she can give you information on how to do that.
Angel Leach would like to know how we handle, or what our policy is in regards to dealing with the homeless.
As far as, say that again?
It's a general question. What is the Clovis Police Department's policy on dealing with homeless people in our city?
Well, right now we have a corporal who is assigned as our homeless liaison person, and he goes out on a regular basis along with other officers and makes contact with those that are deemed to be homeless, Our goal is to try and find help for anybody who's homeless, and he does an excellent job of that, trying to provide the services that are available to those folks who are homeless. Now, granted, not everybody who's homeless wants parts of those services, and if that's the case, then we do our best to prevent it from becoming a nuisance or a loitering type of issue. But our first and foremost goal is to try and get that person help.
Great. Gail would like to know how they can start up a neighborhood watch program. Apparently they used to have one and it kind of went away.
We still do the neighborhood watch programs, and that is done through our youth services division. And again, you can call the police department at 324-2400, and they will put you in touch with somebody from youth services or ask for youth services, and they can set up a time and a place to get you started with a neighborhood watch program.
Sounds good. Lisa would like to know how to sign up for a ride-along with an officer.
Ride-alongs. You can come to the front counter of the police department and you get a form. You fill out the form, they do a quick records check on you, and then they assign you a date and time to do a ride-along.
Sorry, there's a lot of comments about thanking us for doing this. You guys are welcome. Right now, it looks like we have about 425 viewers at this time. Linda Stoneberg would like to know, can motorcycle riders get a ticket for their bike being too loud? Yes,
you can get a ticket if your bike is too loud. I know that's something that's probably not enforced on a regular basis, but there is a law that's saying your motorcycle can't be too loud or a nuisance.
Corey Harris wants to know if we're accepting applications for lateral police officers, and if so, how does one apply?
Yes, we are currently accepting applications for lateral police officers, and you can go online and fill out the application, and once that application is filled out and submitted, then it goes to our personnel department and you'll be contacted usually within a couple weeks after the application is filled out.
Tina wants to know what can be done if people are stealing her recyclables.
She can call us. The recyclables it is a theft to get into someone's trash can and take the recyclables. So if she is noticing that or you're seeing that occur, you can call the police department and an officer will come out and contact the person.
Mike Reese would like to know, does Clovis Police Department plan on hiring additional police officers?
Yes. We are in process now of hiring officers. During the Great Recession, we fell back to 91 officers in the city of Clovis. Right now we're authorized for 103 officers. We've steadily started working our way back, and so I have 2 vacancies now that we're looking to fill, and then hopefully in the next fiscal year we'll have additional vacancies that will be created, and we'll be able to put on some more people as well.
Question from Gene Chandler would like to know what we do about bicycle helmet enforcement.
Bicycle helmet enforcement, for the most part, what we try to do is if a juvenile is cited for not wearing a helmet, is we send them to a traffic safety class. The idea is for the citation isn't to punish someone, it's more about education. And so this gives us the opportunity to put them through a class and talk about why it's so important to wear your bicycle helmet. There are times where that class is really full with juveniles, and I can assure you the whole purpose of that is just to prevent them from being injured while riding their bicycles without their helmet.
David Garrison has a question about the rodeo. He's asking, are we prepared for it?
Sure hope so. Yeah, it's year 101, I believe, or 102 for the rodeo this year, and so yeah, we're ready to go. Our first venture is going to be Big Hat Days coming up this weekend, and Big Hat Days typically is a very busy weekend for us at the department. We have approximately 100,000 people who come into town and looking to have fun. We like to keep it a fun family atmosphere, and hopefully it'll stay that way this year. But as far as the rodeo goes, yeah, we're ready to go.
2 different questions in regards to sponsoring people through the academy. Both Sean and Gage are looking at becoming a cadet with an agency and would like to know if there's any plans on sponsoring cadets through the academy at some point.
Yes, currently we do have a cadet program that we started up here recently. And the cadet program, that's the purpose of it, is to bring on young adults to or are interested in law enforcement, get them the feel of what it is. They work the jails for us. They may work as a CSO, and with the idea of they're finishing their degrees, and then hopefully at some time they'd be able to get sponsored through the academy after having worked for us for a few years as cadets. But yes, we do have a cadet program.
Kelly would like to know, is Clovis Police Department's policy to send 2 officers to each call?
Depends on the call. There isn't a written policy so much that says that 2 officers go to every call. Sometimes we do hear that, especially on traffic stops. But the idea behind that is officer safety. You know, if 2 officers stop on a traffic call, our officers drive solo most of the time, and it's more of just a safety purpose than anything. So, you know, usually if they get on scene and they see things are okay, you'll see an officer that typically will leave, and there'll only be one that'll stay behind.
Andrew has a question in regards to medical marijuana. Apparently one of his neighbors has a card, and he would like to know if it's legal to smoke in their backyard if they do have a cannabis card.
No, it's legal to smoke it. However, you're not allowed to smoke it in the city of Clovis if you can see it or smell it. So, under the Clovis Municipal Code.
I did not know that. Jordan Rose would like to know how many officers we currently have.
Right now we're at 101, and we're authorized for 103.
And I know this one has come up a couple times on social media. Jennifer would like to know the law in regards to officers talking on cell phones and what our policy is in regards to that.
Well, we strongly encourage our officers not to talk on their cell phones while they're driving. However, officers are exempt under the California law. So it's not illegal for an officer to talk on the cell phone while they're driving a patrol car or acting in an official capacity. I know sometimes people will see an officer on the phone, but there are times where it could be an emergency call that they're going to, and instead of having the dispatcher providing the information through the radio to the officer, they will say transfer them to me, and so you'll see an officer who's en route to a call will actually be talking to a victim on the phone while they're going to the call, so they're getting the information firsthand from the person before they arrive on scene. So that does come up every once in a while, though. Sometimes we'll get phone calls and complaints about it.
Cookie James would like to know what she can do to turn in reckless drivers.
Again, if you see a reckless driver, call the police department. If there's an officer that's available, they will go to that scene to try and contact the person who's driving recklessly. If it's an ongoing problem with a neighbor or somebody you know at a certain time always is driving recklessly in an area, again, that's something that you can give to our traffic unit, and our traffic unit will go out and try and do enforcement on that.
David has a CCW question. He'd like to know if there's any differences through the county of Fresno or the city of Clovis. How does the law change, if at all?
It doesn't change. If you're issued a CCW through the county of Fresno, that applies in the city of Clovis. That CCW is good for anywhere in the state of California, except for, I think, San Francisco right now, which we're not really sure what's happening there. So,
looks like we're up to 553 viewers. Facebook Live, if you don't know, limits it to 30 minutes. And so we're at 23 minutes right now. We're going to be
wow, that went by fast.
Yeah, we're less than 7 minutes left. Just another question. Looks like we've answered all of them so far. Another cell phone question. Paul would like to know, is it illegal for an officer to talk on their cell phone if they're off duty?
You mean as far as like they're driving a personal vehicle?
That's what the question sounds like, yes.
Yes, then it would be illegal. The exemption applies when you're on duty.
Clarissa would like to know if our officers are trained on mental instability or people with mental problems, how we train on that.
Well, we train on a regular basis actually for mental health type of situations. Our officers go to critical incident training. They've all been through mental health awareness training. We've even done autism training here at the police department recently. So that is an ongoing type of training. Post also gives us, Post is our police officer standard of training, also gives us videos that they send down. And so, yeah, we do a lot of training when it comes to mental health and awareness.
Definitely. Gail would like to know how to turn in someone playing loud music in their vehicle.
Well, that again is something you can call the police department if somebody is playing loud music in their vehicle and you're driving next to them or something. You can always call the police department and an officer will respond out there. Doesn't always mean we're going to catch up to that vehicle, but we'll do our best.
Jonathan Flores would like to know if we have an Explorer post.
Yes, we do have an Explorer post, and Ty is one of the advisors for the Explorer post. So, how many Explorers do we have now?
Right now we're at 23.
23 Explorers. So, our Explorers do a lot of great things for the police department. You're going to see them all out there at Big Hat Days and the Rodeo, and they help us tremendously when it comes to with the parking situation. And then the big thing we like to do for our Explorers is really develop them, give them the opportunity to see what it is to do police work. So we take them to competitions where they will compete on how to do traffic stops or crime scene investigation or things of that nature. So,
Michelle would like to know about how many chaplains do we have?
Currently, I think we're right around 15 or 16 chaplains.
There's a couple of questions in regards to...
Let me go back to that real quick. If
course.
you're interested in being a chaplain, you can contact Lieutenant Kurt Fleming, and he'll get you started in the chaplain program.
A couple different people would like to know if we're having another kids' summer sports camp.
Yes, we are. The kids' camp will be in July this year, and there'll be information on that coming out shortly, and I'm sure Ty will be posting it on Facebook and along with the flyer. But yeah, the kids' camp is definitely going to happen in July. They're working on it now, and it'll probably be bigger than it was last year, so it should be a good deal.
Brandon would like to know if we are still a part of Magic.
Yes, we are a part of Magic. We have an officer that's assigned to Magic full time, and that's his job.
David Austin noticed a couple additional motor officers and wants to know, are there more than there used to be?
There are more people trained to ride motors. They're not necessarily doing motors on a full-time basis. But one of the things that we have now is what they call zero motorcycles, and they're electric. And they were given to us through a grant process. So there's 4 zero motorcycles out there that you may see, or because you're not going to hear them. They're really quiet. So there are more officers riding motorcycles at different times.
Jonah wants to know how you like working for Clovis PD.
I love working for Clovis PD. I started my career here. I'm in my 26th year with the Clovis Police Department. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in Clovis. I went to Clovis High, graduated way back in 1985. And so I've been a Clovis resident most of my life.
We've gotten a couple comments about the clock behind you. Apparently it says
It's broke, I know.
So
when we walked in here, we realized that the clock's battery had died. So yes, I need to fix my clock.
The elephant in the room. Joe Wilder would like to know what the policy is on loud music at night and what we do to enforce it.
The loud music is, there's always the talk of curfew at being at 10 o'clock. But the reality is that you can disturb somebody's peace anytime during the day. So if your neighbor is playing the music too loud and it's 6 o'clock in the evening, you can call the police department. And if they don't turn it down, you can always file a citizen's complaint or a citizen's arrest against somebody for a noise nuisance at that time.
Looks like we are almost up on the 30 minutes. I'm going to just
Okay.
leave it for your closing statements or anything else you'd like to add for our Facebook Live viewers.
Well, thank you. It's been a pretty quick 30 minutes. And I'm sure if you have other questions or comments, you can post them on Facebook, and Ty will let me know what's going on. And again, thanks. And like I said, post it. Oh, I forgot to cover the Clovis app. Make sure you get the Clovis PD app. It's free. Go to the App Store and download it, and it'll give you all kinds of information. So.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. You guys have a great night. We've had hundreds of comments and questions, and if Chief Basgall didn't get to it, we will definitely get to it the next day or so. Have a good night.
Thank you.